Good day everyone, I am Engineer Nor R. Dibangkitan, your instructor for this course, ENS191, Engineering Economy. Module 1, Introduction to Engineering Economy. Welcome to the first module of this course. So for this lesson, we will be defining what is engineering economy, its fundamental principles, general economic environment, and terms related to engineering economy, and also to understand that engineering economy is not only a subject but it is also a solution to engineering problems. So by the end of this module, you should be able to define what is engineering economy and the terms related to engineering economy, describe the fundamental principles of engineering economy, understand the steps in making engineering economic decisions or analysis, familiarize with the different terms involved, determine variety of costs to be considered, and understand the economic environment of the course. So, engineering economy involves the systematic evaluation of the economic merits proposed solutions to engineering problems. So, it is about solving engineering problems in the industry. So to be economically acceptable, meaning affordable, solutions to engineering problems must demonstrate positive balance of long-term benefits over long-term costs, and they must also promote the well-being of and survival of an organization, embody creative and innovative technology and ideas, permit identification and scrutiny of their estimated outcomes, and translate profitability. So that is according to W.G. Sullivan 2015. So engineering economy addresses problems in engineering, monetary problems, economical problems, profitability problems, and also addresses the survival of organization and technological innovations. So maraming aspect na nasakop yung engineering economy. Na siya about money. So according to Blank and Tarkin 2012, engineering economy involves formulating, estimating, and evaluating the expected economic outcomes of alternatives designed to accomplish a defined purpose. So it is a mathematical techniques, simplified economic evaluation of alternatives. Now, according naman kay H.B. Santa Maria 2000, engineering economy is the analysis and evaluation. It is the analysis and evaluation of factors that will affect the economic success of engineering projects to the end that a recommendation can be made which will ensure the best use of capital. So, there are different alternatives, but we'll have to select the best alternative among those alternatives. So, in summary, engineering economy is a collection of problem-solving tools and techniques that are applied to engineering, business, and environmental issues. So, common yet often complex problems involving money are easier to understand and solve when you have a good grasp of engineering economy. So, according to W.G. Sullivan 2015, an engineer who is unprepared to excel at engineering economy is not properly equipped for his or her job. So meaning, learning engineering economy is also a important factor if you want to be a successful engineer. So there are 4 fundamental principles of engineering economy. Principle 1. An earlier dollar is worth more than a later dollar. So this is under the concept that money has a time value associated with it. Because we can earn interest in money received today, it is better to receive money earlier than later. So meaning, if you have a $1 today, at a certain time, after earning interest is magiging say $1.5 na siya. So if you are to get that dollar today, magiging 1.5 na siya after some moment. So rather than getting it here yung $1. So yun yung effect ng time value. So nag-earn ng interest yung money as the time passes on. Second principle is all that counts is differences among alternatives. So an economic decision should be based on the differences among alternatives considered. So all that is common. So if you have alternative, yung mga common sa kanila is nagka-cancel out yun. So hindi na bumatter kasi common. So what you'll have to look at is yung difference among those alternatives. So doon ka magbe-base or doon yun yung i-evaluate mo to select kung ano yung best alternative among those alternatives. So principle 3, marginal revenue must exceed marginal cost. So this means na if gagastos ka, so in a business or in a industry, kung gagastos ka, make sure na yung kikitain mo is mas malaki compared dun sa nagastos mo or naging capital mo. Kasi kung hindi magiging ganun yung takbo ng business mo, meaning lugi ka na. So marginal revenue must always exceed marginal cost. Additional risk is not taken without expected additional return. So ganun din. So if you are risking, say meron kang gustong i-add sa iyong services or sa product, make sure na calculated risk yun that will have an outcome na mas madadagdagan yung kita mo. So you'll have expected additional return. So you will not take risk unless wala kang in-expect na magiging return ng risk na yun. So in performing an engineering economy study, this involves many elements: problem identification, definition of the object, and cash flow estimation, and decision making. So implementing a structured procedure is the best approach to select the best solution to the problem. So parang problem solving. So meron kang steps na dadaanan to come up with the correct answer or the best answer. So the steps in engineering economy studies are as follows. So step 1 is first is to identify the problem. So once na-identify yung problem, ma-identify mo din kung ano yung magiging objective mo for that project. Say it's a project. So step 2 is you collect relevant data to define kung ano yung mga available na solution or yung magiging alternatives mo. So collection of data. So yan yung second step. Step 3 is make realistic cash flow estimates. So pag meron ka ng alternative, so pwede ka nang mag-estimate ng mga cash flow, ng mga magiging amount of money na involved dun sa project na yon. Fourth is identify and economic measure worth. So yung criterion or yung alternative na yon is may economic worth ba siya. So kailangan mo ng critical decision making on that part. So step 5 is evaluate each alternative. So you came up with a 1, 2, or 3 alternative. So you'll have to evaluate those alternatives considering non-economic factors, and sometimes may mga analysis na needed. So depende yun sa project. Now step 6, after the analysis or evaluation, you have to select the best alternative. And then, pag may na-select ka na alternative, best alternative, so i-implement mo na yung alternative na yon or yung option na yon, and then monitoring na lang. So kung ano yung magiging effect ng alternative na yon. So there are many terms involved in engineering economy. So these costs or terms differ in their frequency of occurrence, relative magnitude, and degree of impact on the study. So first is fixed, variable, and incremental costs. So fixed costs are those unaffected by changes in activity level over a feasible range of operations for the capacity or capability available. So ang example nito is insurance and taxes, salaries, license fees, and interest. So kahit ano man yung mga activity ng project or yung firm, yung insurance, taxes, salaries is fixed na yun siya. So fixed yung salary, fixed yung insurance at a certain percentage, yung taxes, yung fees, and interest. Now variable costs, so as its name suggests, so nag-iiba-iba siya. So those associated with an operation that varies in total with the quantity of output. So ito yung mga activity or mga cost na relative siya sa output nung laborer or yung product. So cost of material and labor used in a product or service. So an incremental cost or incremental revenue is an additional cost that results from increasing the output of a system by one or more units. So it is a limited change in output or activity. So may ginawa kang changes and nag-cost siya ng either cost or either kumita ka. So next is direct, indirect, and standard costs. So direct costs are costs that are reasonably measured and allocated to a specific output or work activity. So that is labor and material costs. So in construction, yung labor and material cost is naka-estimate na yan, allocated na yung budget na yan para for that specific purpose. So indirect costs are costs that are difficult to allocate to a specific output or work activity. So such as proportional to direct labor hours or direct material dollars. Standard costs are planned costs per unit of output that are established in advance of actual production or service delivery. Now, cash cost versus book cost. So cash cost, so term cash, it involves payment of cash, estimated from the perspective established for the analysis and are future expenses incurred for the alternatives being analyzed. So it is simply a payment of cash. Now book cost, one that does not involve a cash transaction. So non-cash cost siya. So also do not involve cash payments but rather represent the recovery of past expenditure over a fixed period of time. So this is simply the depreciation. So when you have an equipment or a gadget, so every year nagdi-depreciate siya. So nababasa yung value or simply parang yun na din yung nagiging cost niya. So nagdi-depreciate yung initial cost niya. Sunk cost. So sunk cost is one that has occurred in the past and has no relevance to the estimates of the future cost. So this is common to all alternatives, not part of the future cash flows, can be disregarded in general economic analysis. So for instance, sunk costs are non-refundable cash outlays such as earnest money or on a house or money spent on a passport. So yung mga cost na hindi na sinasali dun sa economic analysis kasi hindi na din naman mababawi or wala na siyang relevance. Opportunity cost. So an opportunity cost is incurred because of the use of limited resources such that the opportunity to use those resources to monetary advantage in alternative use is foregone. So the concept of opportunity cost is often encouraged in analyzing replacement of piece of equipment or other capital asset. Opportunity cost, say meron kang equipment, then nag-depreciate na siya and wala na siyang value. So, hindi mo naman basta-basta itatapon yun. So, pwede mo pa rin ibenta yun or somehow may gagawin ka para maging cash yung equipment na yun since foregone na siya. So, wala na siyang gamit. So, say, ibebenta mo na lang sa mga junk shops. So, magiging pera yun. So, yun yung tinatawag na opportunity cost. So, there are numerous general economic concepts that must be taken into account in engineering studies. So, first is economics. So, deals with interaction between people and wealth. So, yun yung economics. And engineering concerned with the cost-effective use of scientific knowledge to benefit humankind. So, combining these two is what makes engineering economy. Consumer and producer goods and services. So, consumer goods and services versus producer goods and services. So, consumer goods and services are those products or services that are directly used by people to satisfy their wants. So, this could be food, clothing, homes, cars, television sets, haircuts, opera, and medical services. So, for the producer goods and services are used to produce consumer goods and services or other producer goods. So, could be machine tools, factory buildings, buses, and farm machinery are the examples. So, it is a produced good that will provide another good produced from it or another service. Measure of economic worth. So, goods and services are produced and desired because they have utility. So, parang binibili mo siya or ginagamit mo yung goods or services na yun kasi meron siyang utility sa'yo. It has the power to satisfy kung ano yung kailangan mo or ano yung gusto mo. So, nabibigay niyo kung ano yung gusto mo. Kaya, binibili mo siya yung good na yun or yung services na yun. So, they may be consumed or used directly or they may be used to produce other goods or services. So, utility is simply equals value. So, it is expressed in some medium of exchange as the prices to be paid to obtain the particular item. So, you'll have to pay and you'll have the good or services in exchange. Much of our business activity, including engineering, focuses on increasing the utility or value of materials and products by changing their form or location. So, for example, you have an iron ore. So, iron ore is simply stone lang siya. So, stone. But, if you process the iron ore at ginawa mo siyang razor blades, so, lalaki na yung mag-i-increase yung value or utility ng iron ore. So, in that way, magiging malaki din yung selling price niya compared dun sa iron ore pa siya. Necessities versus luxuries. So, obviously, relative yung necessities versus luxuries. But, they can differ at certain instances. So, what one person considers a necessity may be considered a luxury by another. So, setting an example, if one person living in a community where there is no public transportation or malayo sa public transportation, so pupunta siya sa work. So, getting a car or buying a automobile is a necessity kasi kailangan niyang bumili ng sarili niyang sasakyan para makapunta siya sa work since there is no available public transportation. But if a same person living in a different community where public transportation is available, so buying a car is luxury na siya. So he is not obliged or urged to buy a car because meron namang available na mga public transportation. So, yan yung difference ng necessities versus luxuries. So, general price demand relationship. So for all goods and services, there is a relationship between prices and the demand. So ito yung graph ng price versus unit demand. So if a certain item has a high price, so pag malaking price, maliit yung demand. So say yung mga expensive na mga items, yung mga luxury items, so konti lang yung bumibili ng mga ganon. So yung mga may kaya lang. But if a certain unit has a high demand or low price, maliit yung price niya, so marami yung bibili. So for example, sa mall, meron ka nakita na mga damit. So titingnan mo, mahal siya, so hindi ka bibili. But at the moment na nag-sale siya, bumaba yung price niya, so bibilhin mo na siya kasi bumaba yung price niya. So ganun. So yun yung relationship between price and demand. Now, competition and monopoly. So perfect competition occurs when a product is supplied by a large number of vendors and there is no restriction on additional suppliers in the market. So under such condition, there's assurance na may freedom yung both buyer and seller sa mga transactions nila kasi yung product is supplied in large number. So walang shortage or available kahit saan. So say mga pagkain, mga meats, ganon. So but for the perfect monopoly is a unique exists when a unique product or service is only available from a single supplier. So unique yung product na or service na yun na iisang supplier lang yung nagbibigay. Say example, a Apple na phone. So makakabili ka lang ng Apple na phone from the iPhone company. So the buyer is at the complete merge of suppliers. So kung hindi magsusupply ang Apple company ng Apple na mga gadgets, wala kang mabibili na mga Apple na gadgets. So yun yung perfect monopoly. So that's it for our module 1. So references, Chan S. Park, Fundamentals of Engineering Economy 3rd edition, and also Engineering Economy by W.G. Sullivan et al. And Engineering Economy 7th edition by Blank and Tarkin. So ends our module 1 and thank you for listening and have a good day.